Do you share in Stalin when he says that those who vote decide nothing? It is those who count the votes that decide everything. Is this applicable to the Ghanaian election as far as security is concerned?
Well, I think they have applied in certain instances, but probably not in all. The essence of democracy is that every single ballot must count.
Right.
But if people make the assertion that it is those who count who matter more than those who have printed the papers in that box, individually, then that opens opportunities for mistakes to be made and for the results to be challenged. And we've seen in this country several times when issues of, pink sheets have created problems and the transportation of some of these documents post the voting itself. And I think it's statements like these that contribute to creating what Dr. Bosman is characterizing as fairly small things that ought not to have, created the hula balloon that has gone on this week. But,
right.
Printer's devil, that's okay. Dr. Bosman and I are in the publishing business in terms of trying to write. So we do recognize that there are times when you may have fact-checked and others have done the review process, but still mistakes do occur. What is happening in the Ghana case is that when you have an institution that is always very specific and concrete in its statements and challenges those who may raise concerns about, the veracity of those statements, but then later on rescinds its criticism of opposing views and then changes its position. Then over time, it creates a basis for suspicion and for doubt whenever it utters something. So it's a learning process, yes. Right. But the essence of learning is to improve ourselves over time, so we do not continue to make the same mistakes.
So we know that all things being equal, the process is actually very tight. And like the Dr. Sribokoku says, unless you are capable of compromising all the stakeholders, you will not be able to cheat. But I came to you on the security angle because there are circumstances where some commotion cannot occur. And what you expected of the parties to contribute to the credibility of the results will not happen, and the cheating will happen at that point.
Oh, most certainly. And Samson, if you allow me, let me go back to the peace pact that has been signed. Because of your point concerning our expectations of what the parties must do. The peace pact that was signed on Tuesday or Wednesday presupposes that all the parties share the same principles around politics in Ghana and the elections that we are entering into. That is a fallacy. Number two, peace pacts are built because certain issues have contributed to creating a groundswell of doubt and mistrust. And a peace pact, some of those doubts have been resolved, others are outstanding, and the peace pact seeks to resolve and improve the credibility of processes. In this particular case, quite a number of problems that occurred in and around the 2020 elections have been glossed over. So the presupposition that we can expect parties to behave in a particular way based on their own principles inherent in their party documents and the shared norms and values around democracy, democratic processes, and electoral processes does not occur here. And that is why the possibility of security breaches, in which one would expect the parties to stand firm and say, this is not what we want to do. It must not happen on our watch. If that violence, if those breaches inure to the benefit of particular parties, they will not stand up.
Right.
And that is why the argument is clear, and you can see it from 1992, that there is a positive correlation between unlawful behavior around elections leading to particular outcomes and the personal benefits that people also get.
Right.
When they ensure that illegality is in your benefit of their
right. The British High Commissioner, Harriet Thompson, she says, unfortunately, my colleagues and I are frequently told by a range of people that they fear Ghana's 2024 elections will be less peaceful than previous elections. Is there a basis for this?
No, I think her calculus is wrong. 2024 will not be less peaceful. My argument, and I don't know which of her colleagues she's talking about, because I've also spoken to quite a number of her colleagues. And my argument this year is that the two presidential candidates themselves are individuals of peace. That their actions, their utterances, their behavior over time has created this, not just an impression, but a well-founded notion that they are not going to shed or hurt any Ghanaian just to gain power. That having been said, we don't also overlook the fact that there are very strong extremists in both parties, willing to do whatever it counts to win power. But it is the leaders, the signaling from the leadership that matters. And in this case, I think I will challenge the High Commissioner and her friends that she's referring to, and let's wait and see what will happen.
Why should people not have such concerns, particularly going into an election from a previous election where 8 people were killed and several others were injured, and a court of competent jurisdiction has found for some of those who were injured that, I quote the High Court, that I hold that there's respondents, that is the Ghana Election Task Force, the Election Security Task Force, as represented by the Attorney General in court. The judge says, I therefore hold that the respondents have failed to prove that their use of lethal force under the circumstances was justified and lawful.
Samson.
What led to the killings? What led to the maiming? What led to the injuries in the 4 constituencies across the country were not lawful and they were not justified. The IGP, when a petition went to Shraj, wrote to Shraj insisting that Shraj doesn't have a mandate. It cannot investigate the matters because they were prosecuting the cases through the Attorney General. 4 years on, no one is giving us any idea what has happened.
Samson, the Afrobarometer report is very clear about people's perceptions of trust, respect, about some of these institutions that you have mentioned. I don't want the judiciary to come and chase me. But precisely because the public, based on the Afrobarometer report, neither trusts law enforcement, the judiciary, and other critical institutions, and knowing what is happening around our neighborhood. Look, people are discerning. And I always challenge people to say, look, travel around this country, talk to ordinary people, okay? Listen to their concerns and use a language that they understand and can respond to you. And you would notice the notion that we are interested The notion that they are interested in fighting someone, in destroying their livelihoods, will not happen. These ambassadors who are talking this week, were it to happen, would they issue visas to people? Would they tell people, hang on, there's a crisis in Ghana, come to my embassy and I will issue you a visa? We know how immigration has become a core electoral issue in every single European and North American country. People are discerning. Yes, some people might want to create trouble, but we will not give them that pleasure. And I've challenged all those who have said it's going to be more violent. Both Mahama and Dr. Bawumia have not acted anything in the last probably 24 months that can be construed as inciting people to violence. Yes, some of their supporters may have done so, but I want to challenge the High Commissioner. But, we can only do this conversation after the 8th.
All right.
She and her friends think.
Thank you. Hold on there. Let me move to my other guest.